Hey folks, it's late April 2026 and I want to share with you my 2026 journey starting today in adventures in raspberries. So let me show you what I got going on. In spring of 2022, I installed 3 bare root heritage raspberries in this area, and for the following 3 years, I never got any fruit. They grew, they cut back, they grew, they cut back, etc., etc. I let first year canes become second year canes to see when the flowering was going to occur. It never did. At the beginning of 2025, I decided if it didn't produce in 2025, it was done. Fortunately, the plants decided for me that they were done because they died early in this, probably mid-spring. So I had tomatoes in here last year, but I wanted to establish this again as a raspberry patch. And this year, I went and I bought 1 gallon Caroline variety of raspberries. Now, what I did when I got these home, they came as 1 gallon pots. I went ahead and buried them in my native soil only about half deep. My native soil is below this organic matter, but being that raspberries, I think, have a tendency to be a little susceptible to root rot, I didn't want to put the entire crown, well, at least the entire root system into that, because if we do get a lot of rain, we may have a tendency to hold a lot in that clay. In the way I installed them, the top half of the pot was in the organic matter, the bottom half was in the native soil. So it gives me a chance to pull some water with the lower roots without having the entire root system submerged. Now the second thing I did, Caroline is a primocane fruiting variety. That means that first year canes will fruit on the tips in September, and those canes the following June should fruit on the lower section. When I got these plants home, they had what was ostensibly a second year cane or 2 per plant. They were dormant at that point. I installed them in the ground, watered them in, they broke dormancy. Following the breaking of dormancy, where I could see some leaf growth on those old canes, I saw new canes coming out of the ground. Now what I wanted to do was put all the energy into the root system and the new canes. I did not want those older canes to flower and fruit in June. So I decided to cut them out. I did that about 2 days ago, and now we have on each of these plants probably about 3 to 4 canes, and those are now technically the first year canes, which should be fruiting in September. Now how good of fruit we get out of that, I don't know, because the root system is not going to be that mature at that point, but we'll probably get something. I don't know how tall they're going to get at that point, and when it comes to trellising, I'm going to leverage these 2 T-posts and basically have some sort of a guide wire system coming like around the front, wrapped around the back, just to sort of keep these from flopping all the way over. So they might flop a little side to side, but over they won't do that. And I'm not going to try to do anything more in the trellising stage this year. This is more just to see how healthy a plant I can grow. But today is part 1. I'm going to let this video open, and we're going to update every month, probably around the end of each month, just so we can kind of chronicle this little adventure in raspberries and see how the growth of these goes over the season, all the way up to harvest, and at which point in September, around my first harvest, we'll go ahead and publish this video out. So until then, appreciate you watching, and we'll see you in a couple of seconds for the late May update. May 20th, and we are in a nice little heat wave right now. This is the 4th day in a row of the low to mid 90s. Still no rain in the forecast. I'd take that back. There's been no rain really, except for a ½ inch about a week ago. That was scheduled to be an 1.5 inches. So it's kind of brutal out here right now, but we are scheduled for a reduction in temperature starting tomorrow for probably 7 or 8 days, where most of those days it does show rain in the forecast. But as you can see, these plants are looking gorgeous. I have been hitting them with quite a bit of water, and I can really see them starting to kind of show their distinctive canes from the base. And I don't think I'm going to get rid of any canes this year, because I want to sort of maximize the foliage that I have for photosynthesis so it can build that root system out, hoping that works that way. What I am going to have to do, however, is buy a shade cloth, because these are going to be very, very heat sensitive in the next month or so when it gets blistering hot full time. And what I'll probably do on these T-posts at the top is maybe wrap some old hand towels that we don't use anymore around the top of them, hold them in place with like a spring clamp, and then drape a shade cloth over top just to get these things, the worst of the heat off of them during that time, because they don't fruit well apparently in the really bad heat, and we're gonna have some nasty ones. And they are supposed to fruit in September, like I said earlier in the video, and I wouldn't mind taking a crack at that fruit. And I think the way these plants are going, we could get a bit of a haul, but only if we get that that heat off of them. So we'll close out for now. We'll come back at the end of June, see where they're at, and by then you'll probably see some sort of a makeshift structure. And by then, or maybe even before then, I'm probably going to be running, like I said, those kind of guide wires up and around that T-post, front and back, just to make sure that the canes aren't falling forward on the ground. So yeah, sit tight for another month, and we will see you then. Hey folks, it is June 18th, 2026, and look at the raspberry growth we're getting here. This plant, number one here, probably up to almost chest high already, looking good. I'm not sure who that little guy is, but he can live there for now. But what we're still seeing are some flowers. These flowers over here are now starting to show a little bit of fruit. Problem is, we're still really hot. I may have to move my shade cloth over to this area. I did do what I said I was gonna do, and I posted a couple of hand towels on the top of the T-posts, and I got them in place with a spring clamp. But the one thing I want to show you today, aside from the fact that these things are growing really vigorous, and my stupid little trellis wrap here actually seems to be holding them pretty upright. But look what we've got coming out of the base here. We've got suckers now already. These plants just went in back in, gosh, was it March? I'll have to check. I've edited it up until my last date, but I don't know when that was. But I want to figure out at what point I can almost physically remove some of these suckers, get them into a pot and grow them out. I don't know how well they take through that process. Blackberries do okay from suckers. I don't know necessarily how raspberries will do, if they'll root out pretty quickly. But I really want to kind of get after that, because my goal was to expand this patch. Over here, we've got this is just what I call bed 48, because I have 48 beds, and this is the northwest corner of the garden. It just kind of got numbered that. I'm thinking about moving my blackberry patch, not my blackberry patch, this raspberry patch, not just moving it, but extending it to where those peppers are, but then having a secondary patch right here as well to really just grow out more and more of these raspberries. I just don't know, and I want to self-propagate that through most likely these suckers, because again, got them here too. This guy here is just, you know, I know that they have a tendency to invade the areas around them. I just don't know how easy it is to kind of yank them out of there, get them in a pot and see how well they grow. And if it is easy, what's the ideal size to do that? Because when they're really spindly, they might not have enough energy to push roots out. This is a hypothesis. So I'll have to do some research on that today, but I did want to flash this up here just to show you what's going on, because these plants, man, for 3 months old, I don't know if that's good or not, because I've never had success growing raspberries before. I only had one crop in here prior to this. Like I said, it was heritage, and they didn't grow well at all, especially compared to this. These are gorgeous, and I'll be interested to see what happens, and I think today or tomorrow I'll put that shade cloth over top. But yeah, I just wanted to update you on this real quick just to keep this video going, because this is going to be a nice little record for me to look back on in the future. So I will see you sometime in mid-late July. Hey folks, real quick June 25th update on how these raspberries are going. One, you can see I've kind of got this thing going right now, this shade cloth. Attached it to the fence, draped it over top those T-posts. I pull it back in the morning, and right about now I'm going to go ahead and pull it back over top these. It kind of drapes on the ground. I need to get more T-posts out there to attach it to. I just haven't figured out how I want to set that up yet, because then it's going to be kind of a pain to roll it back and forth. But what I want to talk about today is what I'm about to think. I think I'm about to do this. You can see I've already started pulling those little split pieces of wood that were kind of framing this stuff up. I can't get over this growth because you can see we've got a ton of suckers coming out of the ground, and those wood pieces are starting to sort of choke them out. They're starting to like pop up underneath that, and I want more and more suckers to come out of here. So I think what I'm going to do is pull these back. Probably actually pull them out entirely. I don't know what I'm going to do on the back side. I think on the back side, they're kind of buried underneath wood chip, because I chipped all of this really heavily when I was trying to get a lot more wood chip in this area. I didn't make it quite out this far. I probably will do that. But I think what I want to do is put some more compost, maybe out another foot, extending out, and then bring the wood chip back and through. And I think I want to do that because I want more compost to help bury more of the stem of those suckers so that they have a better chance of growing roots. Because I would like at the closer to the end of the season and maybe into early next season, if they have their own root systems, I'd like to pull them out, pot them up. Like I said, I think in this area here next year, I'm going to wind up having an extension of the raspberries, like 2 rows. This one running down to where the jalapenos are, and then maybe a 6-foot jump, or 5-foot jump over to this bed and make this bed another raspberry bed. So I'd have 1 and 2. It's kind of where my brain's going right now, but first and foremost, I really just want to make sure that I give these suckers as good a chance as I can to root out. So yeah, and I mean, we got more and more of these flowers. It's just looking really pretty right now. Really impressed with how these plants grew. And again, this is the Caroline variety. If you're in the North Carolina area, it's pretty highly recommended for this climate, but it is going to probably be sensitive to that heat, so I've got to get this thing covered. Anyway, not sure when I'm going to update next, but checking out for now. Take care. Yeah, that's more of what I'm going for. Pulled that wood chip back, put that trench in. I think that's going to serve the plants a whole heck of a lot better as far as they're trying to get rooting out. Did the same on that side. Probably only got about 6 inches off that wood chip, but it should be enough for where anything close to the parent crown can get a little bit more stem buried, so we can get some roots out of there. Hey folks, June 30th, 2026, and today we're going to close this video out because I count 3, 1, 2, 3, what I think are harvestable raspberries at this point. I am going to try to harvest them. You know what? Let me grab the first one right now. Definitely ready. It was falling apart. Yeah. Definitely have to bring one in for the wife as well. So I told you at the beginning of the video I was going to take you through harvest, and granted that's not all the harvest we're going to get are going to be these 3 berries. Let me show you what else is going on here. Other than the fact that we've got some damage done by the Japanese beetle who showed up in this garden what I think is almost for the first time. I don't recall seeing them out here before. And I am getting after them now. We have got a lot of flower sets starting to set up on the tips of these first-year canes, which is exactly what I would have expected from my reading and understanding how they're supposed to fruit. I guess I just wasn't expecting this amount of robust growth this first season because these just went into the ground. Again, let's go ahead, you know what, hold on for a sec. Let's go through the timeline again of everything that we had. Best estimate, I bought these things in early to mid March. And I think I planted them the day after I bought them or the day I bought them. So let's split the difference and call it March 10th. March 30th, I showed you a clip in this video of my garden tour where it was just the plants installed with their old canes. And then we opened the video in late April where you could see the new growth. I chopped the old canes out at that point. And then the video picks up with the May and the June up until this June, seeing the growth. So really, we went from plants that were about 8 inches to 12 inches tall in late April, all the way to plants today that are almost 4 feet tall with full sets of flowers. I didn't expect that amount of growth in this amount of time. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how it's gone. But what we're going to do is we're going to close this video today, and we're going to reopen another one starting in, I'm going to say, mid to late July, see how they're doing, because by then they're going to get brutalized by the heat, but they're also going to have these flower sets going. We're going to see how well the shade cloth works, and using this as a diary style for the next 3 months. So we're going to say mid-late July through mid-late October. And we're going to see kind of a part 2 of how first-year raspberries have gone for me. But yeah, this really stunned the heck out of me. I was not anticipating that, nor was I anticipating that level of sucker activity. I mean, I've dug around them a little bit to see what kind of roots they have coming off of themselves, not just the fact that their stems popping off of the main root that's running laterally from the plant, and there still are none there yet. Maybe by the end of the season, I'll be able to pull some up and get some roots out of there. Maybe it'll be next season. Not really worried about that. I'm really just kind of concerned with just keeping the plant growth as healthy as possible, keeping those beetles off, making sure the shade cloth comes down, trying to preserve as much of those fruit sets as possible, because I'd love to see if this can be a successful crop in a really hot and humid climate that I have right here. I think I've got it set up for success with the elevated planting plus the shade cloth. I have been keeping it a bit more water than some of my other crops. Not really deep waterings, because it is sitting, there is clay there, and we had some rain recently, but just enough to make sure that that root ball, as it was newly installed, didn't dry out. And yeah, I think things are going really well here. So I hope you enjoyed what you saw here today. I'm ecstatic. I really didn't know what to expect from this season, and it's blown away all my expectations. I don't know if this is unusually good or just kind of middle of the road, but for me personally, based upon what I was kind of foreseeing, it's through the roof good. So I appreciate you coming out today, and if you like what you saw, please feel free to give the video a like, share it with whomever you want. If you have any comments, please post below. Happy to respond. And in the meantime, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you in part 2.